The Bonekeeper's ledger. The first time I heard the whispers, I was crouched in an abandoned chapel, surrounded by the remnants of a forgotten world. Shadows danced against the crumbling walls, weaving tales of despair and darkness. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and ancient stone. I had been cataloging the bones of cryptids for months now, each fragment a piece of a puzzle that no one else dared to put together. And yet, there I was, still haunted by the laughter of my family echoing in my ears, mocking my every step into the abyss. "Crazy," they'd said, their voices dripping with disdain. "You'll lose your mind. This nonsense will disgrace the family." I'd been a forensic anthropologist, a respected position that had turned to ruin when I insisted the remains unearthed from a mass grave were anything but human. A dismissal so absolute it had shattered my career and left me an outcast in my own home. Their laughter had become my nightmare, a constant reminder of the intellectual rejection that sent me spiraling into the wild. Yet here I was, in the dark depths of a crumbling chapel, fingers tracing the brittle edges of an ancient skull. The whispers began as a soft rustle, like leaves skittering across the ground. But they grew louder, insistent, weaving a tapestry of secrets buried deep within the earth. The truth, they seemed to murmur, is hidden beneath the skin of the world. I knew then that I wasn't just cataloging bones. I was peeling back the layers of reality itself. Each cryptid had a story, a purpose, and the echoes of their lives intertwined with mine. I became obsessed, not merely with the bones, but with what they represented. The more I uncovered, the heavier the knowledge weighed on me, until it felt like a crown of thorns digging into my skull. Years passed, and my work transformed from ridicule to a chilling recognition. I became known as the Bonekeeper, the one who dared to expose the horrors others wished would remain buried. My lectures drew crowds, my findings were published, but the specters of my family's laughter haunted me still. I longed to return home, to show them what I had become, to prove them wrong. But deep down, I knew I carried more than just accolades. I bore the weight of the truths I had unearthed. When I finally stepped back into the place I once called home, the air felt different, thicker, charged with a tension that prickled my skin. My family stood in the living room, their expressions a mixture of shock and disbelief. They had expected the prodigal child to return in disgrace, not as a celebrated figure in the field they had dismissed, but they could not have prepared themselves for what I had brought back with me. "Look at you," my mother said, her voice tremulous. "You're different." "Different?" I echoed, my heart pounding. "I'm here to show you the truth." As I spoke, shadows began to gather in the corners of the room, swirling like smoke. I had tried to keep these horrors at bay, but the burden of my knowledge had grown too heavy. The whispers from the bones had followed me home, clinging like a shroud. I gestured towards the small wooden case I had brought with me, a one containing the carefully catalogued remains of a creature I had discovered, a being thought to be nothing more than folklore. My family's eyes widened as I opened the case, revealing the delicate bones, each one exuding an aura of something ancient and dreadful. They shifted uneasily, their laughter from years past echoing in my mind, but now it was tinged with fear. "You think this is a joke?" I pressed, feeling a dark thrill coursing through me. "These bones tell a story you refuse to believe." Then, as if summoned by my words, the shadows coalesced into forms, twisted, grotesque shapes that writhed and shrieked, their features indistinct yet horrifying. My family recoiled, terror etching their faces as the very essence of what they mocked emerged to haunt them. "No, this can't be real," my father shouted, his bravado crumbling like the walls of the chapel I'd once explored. But it was real. The whispers grew into a cacophony. A symphony of secrets and horrors that enveloped us all. The very bones I had catalogued began to pulse with a life of their own, vibrating in rhythm with my heartbeat. "You thought I was mad," I said, my voice steady against the rising tide of chaos. "But I've seen the truth you refuse to acknowledge." The forms twisted closer, their silent screams clawing at my family's sanity. Each shadow was a manifestation of the disbelief they had cast upon me. Their ridicule now returned tenfold, a karmic reckoning that left them no escape. They were forced to confront the absurdity of their convictions, the very monsters they had deemed non-existent now standing before them, the dreadful culmination of their ignorance. As the shadows reached out, my family's faces contorted in terror. I felt a strange sense of vindication wash over me, mingling with the dread. I had endured the darkness, and now it was theirs to face. "You wanted proof?" I asked, my voice a whisper in the storm. "Here it is." In that moment, I realized I wasn't just an observer. I was part of an unending cycle of belief and disbelief, of acceptance and rejection. The shadows began to recede, leaving behind only the bones, glistening in the dim light. My family collapsed to the floor, gasping for breath, the weight of their ignorance finally crushing them. As I stood amidst the ruins of our familial ties, I understood that I had become more than just an expert in cryptid osteology. I was a keeper of truths that were never meant to see the light of day. And in their moment of reckoning, I felt both horror and liberation. With a heavy heart, I turned away, leaving the remnants of my family behind. I stepped into the night, the whispers of the bones my only companions now. The world had become a darker place, but I had unearthed the truths that others had buried. I had survived the shadows, and in doing so, I had become something far more powerful, a bonekeeper, a guardian of the unspeakable, and a living testament to the cost of disbelief.